horror movies, mutilation, decapitation, torture. Does that sound entertaining? More blood than a blood bank. Have we got your attention?
Alright, welcome back to Video Waste Reviews Movies. In today's episode, if you watched the previous video, then you know, we're doing 2016's Mom and Dad. With Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage
and Selma Blair. So let's get into it. What drew you to this movie? When we kind of gone down a Nicolas Cage rabbit hole recently, I think as most of the world has, but I let Jerry just hey man, go pick a Nicolas Cage movie and we'll watch it.
The first one failed. The second one was
was bad.
What initially drew me was I watched the trailer for Mom and Dad and I was like, okay, there's a couple of Nicolas Cage moments in here where he has a good potential. This one, I was like, okay, he has something to work with. Maybe we'll get those Nicolas Cage meme moments. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't disappointed.
No, they delivered.
Yeah, I think that this movie, I really liked it. I really fucking liked it a lot.
I enjoyed it, and I went into it, there were certain aspects of the movie that I did not like, but I'll get into those. But overall, the idea, a very rough idea of what you're dealing with in this movie. And it's a very targeted aggression to a specific type of person. It's parents killing their kids.
You have to kill your kids.
Right. You have to kill your kids.
Right.
You have to kill your kids.
Right.
You have to kill your kids. Right. You have to kill your kids. Right.
You know, which is a good concept, but I thought it would be all parents just killing the kids, killing the generation before them and stuff, But let's go through the countdown since show maker is not necessary. Let's just change it to what's your favorite Nicolas Cage moment in this movie?
Okay, so...
Okay,
yeah.
My number one, because I also have two specific ones. My number one is there's this moment where he's talking to his kid about his Thunderbird, his prize car, and he's literally talking and he's just saying fuck and I get so much pussy in this thing and stuff, and the kid is 5 and he's just sitting there eating an ice cream while Nicolas Cage is drinking a beer, and it almost it's just this surreal moment of Nicolas Cage, we didn't tell him to say any of this stuff. They just started filming accidentally. Yeah. I really like that moment. And then there's another moment where Nicolas Cage is at his shitty job. They never really explain what he does, but he's asleep. And the phone rings. The secretary's trying to get a hold of Nicolas Cage, and he's like, yes. The secretary's like, your wife is trying to get a hold of you. He's like, I'm not taking any calls right now, especially my wife. And he hangs the phone up, and then he just screams silently, but there's this ring. Whee!
Yeah.
And it's just this great Nicolas Cage moment. But there's so many top Nicolas Cage moments. I really do think that they were okay, you're gonna break the pool table now.
That was going to be my one, where he breaks the pool table, but I also feel though that scene was probably my favorite Nicolas Cage, it also wasn't my favorite. It was it's really hard.
Yeah.
That's why I was I might save it for this, because though he is super Nicolas Cage and is ranting and is raving and everything like that, and that's really good, it really bugged me that he could not pick up that sledgehammer.
Yeah, he
Did
was
you see
struggling.
How he 2 blows with a 5-pound sledgehammer, and he was struggle city.
Then he starts tearing it apart with his hands and starting to throw stuff around, and I don't know what it was, but there was those moments where Nicolas Cage acts. He's I don't need to act that the sledgehammer's heavy. The sledgehammer's heavy, so I'm gonna act like it is.
Did you notice this was a really small detail of the movie? The scene where he's putting it together and he can't keep the ball from rolling. Did you notice at the end of the movie that the ball came rolling out? The house wasn't level.
No.
And it wasn't the table. It was the house. And that's why he goes, oh.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nicolas Cage.
It's fucking, there's so many of those. Like the Sawzall.
Yeah. It's Saul's all.
Yeah. And he's like, it's not... you're not going to get through that door with that saw and stuff. And she has to explain why it's a Sawzall.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, that's G. And then he just keeps saying Sawzall.
Yeah.
And then there's just so many of these moments in this movie that are entertaining like that.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gone through our favorite Nicolas Cage. Is there any moment in the movie that was just kind of lackluster, not getting it, don't care,
The beginning, the entire beginning, like, okay, so I understand the importance of the daughter's character, but her and her friend and her life, I don't give a shit about.
Right.
All you need to do is go, Nicolas Cage has kid. That's all. I don't need an in-depth that she stole money and it was to buy Molly and this and that. Like, I don't need any of that. That was time filler, I guess, but none of it helped the movie because there was no point to it. There was no, like, evolution to them showing that. So that whole thing with the daughter and, like, the daughter really just,
Yeah, I'm going complete opposite on the ending because the movie just fucking ends.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, okay, this is our last day with Nick and Selma. What do we do? I don't know. Just end it. Just fucking end it. And it's just like, boom. And I was like, oh, I want to at least know, like, what happens. Does the virus end? Does the
they say in, like, the synopsis of the movie they have to survive 24 hours with their parents.
Yeah.
So that would lead you to believe that it's over after 24 hours. And that's kind of why the parents are, like, coming back as the movie's ending. They're like, oh, we love you. Yeah. And that's why he, at the end, is like, we love you so very much, but sometimes we just want to... And then it ends.
Yeah.
Like, we just want to kill you. Like,
Because I noticed that, like, they end, like, before the cuts transition, it's, like, night. And then the next, there's kind of bright lights and stuff as indicating morning and whatnot. Yeah. But, there are moments like that. I'll also say that if you fill your basement up with gas and it catches on and it explodes, you're not going to come out looking like you just got a sunburn.
Yeah.
You're gonna just add a little bit of red.
Yeah.
I know that probably was a thing in, like, production where they were like, okay, Nick, we have this whole prosthetic. You're gonna be like this, and Nick's like, yeah, I ain't doing that.
He's like, give me another key bump.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. Do you know how much money I owe the IRS? We should start a business. Like, no, man.
But all right, next let's go to cinematography.
Okay, so the cinematography, the storyboard, and how they shot the cinematography was fucking annoying. This doesn't belong in the movie.
No.
Like, it's... And in the beginning, they kind of took the Dawn of the Dead approach, the remake, and just, like, showed a bunch of news clips of all hell breaking loose and stuff. And I wasn't a fan of that either.
You got to...
Well, I was just going to say, there is one actor that I absolutely do love in this movie that is not credited, and that's Woodbine. The black guy on the TV that was at the pool talking about like how terrible it was. Yeah. Like, just tiny little part thrown in there. Just like, hey, what an amazing actor. And he's just like, yeah, I'll just do this.
Yeah, I got my friend. I'm going to disagree, though. I really like the cinematography. There are some moments where it does get jumbly, like that whole closet scene. It gets very, like, cutty and fast-paced and stuff, and that gets kind of, like, blurry.
Well, that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, like...
The setup?
It's hard for me to explain. Okay. It just looked like... So there's this flow to the movie, and then insert, flow to the movie, insert, flow to the movie, insert. It was just like certain pieces of the cinematography didn't fit. It's not so much like the camera angles or the cuts. It was just something about it that just popped out at me like, that doesn't work.
Okay.
But continue, sorry.
Yeah, but no, the camera work and editing is where I'm going with, like, some of those scenes are really pretty. Like, when the kid, he's found, like, a cat or something, and there's crows around it and whatnot. Then there's this very pretty moment, the whole scene at the school, where, like, the fire drill and they're all gathered up and stuff. I thought was shot very well, and even like it looked better than what this movie is, because this one flew under the fucking radar. I never heard of this.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this. This is like in the prime of Nicolas Cage owing the IRS money.
Yeah, this is definitely a red box, but someone had this idea like for a while. Like, I want to make this movie.
Yeah.
And they sat on it for a while, and they could see these scenes. Go to the next one, special effects.
The special effects, they looked like a lot of just practical effects, and
Yes.
I thought that was cool. There was nothing like amazing, but the kid gets stabbed with the coat hanger. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they did it, whether it was CGI or not, but that same kid falling over the balcony and hitting, I was like, holy shit, that was really awesome.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the fact that because this felt like a low budget movie, they're like, okay, there's a lot of stuff that we can't show because we can't do. Like, when the one maid, her daughter's there with him, and she clubs her to death.
Yeah.
But they don't show it because they probably didn't have a prosthetic for the head like that. So through storytelling, we
see her
learn.
mopping up the blood. And
We see her mopping up the blood. We see what happened to her and stuff. Oh, she's in the trash can because we see flies. I thought that was done very well.
Yeah.
There's even like when Nicolas Cage's parents, which is I thought was a great little like twist. It wasn't a Shyamalan twist. We knew the grandparents were coming over, but it was like,
I had
parents.
forgotten.
Yeah.
At that point in the movie, I had completely forgotten that the movie started with your parents are coming for dinner. So when that happened, not only this is one of the big things that made me like the movie, is because not only did everything in the movie happening make me forget that was coming. When you find out that they're also trying to kill Nicolas Cage, I was like, oh, this isn't just like the 40s, 50s people trying to kill their kids. This is everybody trying to kill.
Parent.
But yeah.
I also really like the opening. Like the not the credits, but whatever the opening title is and stuff that look what would it be like? You turn on a movie and it's like mom and dad, and then like they show like the opening. You know what I'm talking about? No, okay. Did you watch the opening, or did you just start like halfway in the middle?
No, I watched it.
Okay, you know how it's like they have the actors stills and they're playing that song, and like it felt like a 1960s, 1970s style grindhouse movie.
Yeah, that's literally one of the things I didn't like about the movie.
Oh, you didn't like that opening?
Yeah.
Okay, I
but
kind of
yes, also opening that you said 12 times is probably the proper term for that. Like the opening sequence of the movie, the opening title or whatever.
I was even gonna like charade it to you there, like in Star Wars where it's like ba-da, and then that thing goes up and stuff. What the fuck is that called? The opening?
The opening?
Yeah.
The opening of the movie. What is it called?
But
the opening of the movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that they paid homage to like 1970s type cinema. So the soundtrack, very minimal.
Yeah, it was very minimal.
My favorite moment in the soundtrack is when all of the parents bum rush the kids and they're on the football field and they're playing this nice song.
Yeah. That was another thing that was very Dawn of the Dead to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when I saw that,
Where
I
there's
was like,
mass commotion
right,
going
and
on.
then there's this sweet song playing. They did the exact same thing in Dawn of the Dead.
Oh yeah, well, horror movies are really like they can do that a lot. I mean,
I've never really seen it outside of like Devil's Rejects and Dawn of the Dead.
a Tiptoe Through the Tulips and Insidious, where they're playing this song, but there's horrible shit.
Yeah, they're just playing like elevator music, and it even sounded like the music from Dawn of the Dead because it sounded like elevator or mall music, and all this chaos is happening, and that's and like that was another thing. I was just like, I wonder if he really liked that movie, or if he was a part of that movie in some fashion. I gotta do some more research on that.
I think
There's only about another month left until Prisoners of Ghostland come out.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's where Nicolas Cage really, I mean, like, if you go through every Nicolas Cage movies, I would focus more on his horror because his
I
horror
feel like
stuff
this movie is a good like.
in between.
No, this is a good foreshadow of what's to come.
Yeah, I wanted to know, like, what point did the people, because we all know what started this. It's Mandy. We'll talk about Mandy fucking next or whatever. But, because we haven't talked about Mandy, right? Nah. But Nicolas Cage, the second that he did Mandy, everybody kind of, like, rediscovered him. Like, oh my God, he's this great thing and stuff. And it's like, well, he's always been kind of weird and awesome, you know. But it really, really started picking up. And I want to know, is this the movie that somebody saw and was like, I want that guy in? Because he has kind of the same hair and the same, like, it's a different attitude. But it definitely just brought him forth. And now he's doing these great, like, horror movies. But, yeah, the gun thing, I think, also really, like, just threw me for a loop and shit.
Well, the gun thing kind of really made it random because, one... Alright, let's try this again.
The gun.
So, like I mentioned before the camera turned off, so he says, I need the gun. I need my backpack because his gun's in the backpack. So he already has the sense that he's going to need this gun. But he doesn't know that his parents are trying to kill him, so why would he feel the need to get his backpack that has the gun? And then also, on top of that, when he shoots through the door and shoots Selma, he shoots 2 shots. That gun holds like 15 fucking rounds. Yeah, they could have solved this. They could have ended this movie in 2 minutes.
They want to kill their parents.
Put a couple in their kneecaps. Like, you've got so many
shot through
rounds.
a door. They didn't know where it was going to end up.
Right. Well, they clipped her in the arm or whatever.
Aim low.
But, so there was still upwards of, let's say safely, there were still 8 rounds in that gun.
Yeah.
Why did you not use that gun anymore?
It wasn't...
that was like... What?
Because we couldn't have the Nicolas Cage and the mom fucking die and be like, okay, the end.
I mean, that's how that should have went. I mean, I'm glad that that's not how they went, but they literally shot 2 shots out of that gun and then, like, I guess fucking threw it out the door. Like, I don't understand. Like, I think that the only reason that they didn't do that part, like, they didn't further injure the parents with the gun, was so that they could get to Nicolas Cage's parents coming.
Yeah.
And that way, when they came, there was more to do. Like, the bullet wound in Selma's arm was not terrible.
It feels like the gun was added later, where, like,
but it was a whole story. Like, there was so much build up to the gun.
Oh yeah, we see it in the flashbacks, and there's like that dialogue where it's like, "Are you having a midlife crisis? You bring a gun into this house," and I like that where when they're trying to kill their kids, they're ferocious, but when they're talking to each other,
they're still
they're just normal, like
when
parents.
when they're taping this shit up and she goes outside to like put the hose in, he's like, this is a really great idea, honey.
Yeah.
I love you very
Yeah.
much. This is a really great idea. Like, he just keeps repeating
Yeah.
it over and over. And it's like, it's so funny. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I can't remember the maid's daughter's name and stuff, but she's like, you know, call her like.
I think it was like Lucy or
Lucy, yeah. Lucy's in the trash can. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why there's all that blood in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are those moments where that's really clever. That we're in a horror movie. You know, these aren't monsters; these are parents.
Right.
So you're still kind of like, like your mom.
Well,
is trying
it's a married couple still interacting as a married couple.
Yeah,
with the common goal.
Yeah, they are fine and stuff. You know, even like Selma Blair's character, where she doesn't understand why this is going on until she sees her kids.
Yeah,
and that's why and then the daughter's like, "I'm sorry for stealing the money." It's like, this doesn't have nothing to do with the money.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the writing and the interaction.
Yeah,
and this, I feel like this movie deserves more credit than what it was, because I'm never shit. Give me more.
Yeah, if we didn't go down this Nicolas Cage rabbit hole, I would have never
never
seen this movie, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, this isn't one that will be talked about, but it's just those hidden gem movies where it's like, there's some love in this movie, and it's really good. You want to star it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5, 3.5 stars, because I feel like, though it's not the greatest movie, it deserves a little bit more, just because. And I think I'm going to give it the half a star just because I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I'll go 3.5 too. Cut it down the middle because of how out of left field this one, showed up out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the best in the horror genre? No, I've seen better examples of this style of horror, but I think with the simpleness of the movie, and even the violence is very simple, but it's effective. 3 stars. Definitely recommend it. Definitely watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere out there.
It is. I rented mine off of Apple for $3.99. He has Hulu and the Stars package, so it was free to him. So if you have the Hulu Stars package, definitely check it out. And if you're willing to spend $4 on a Nicolas Cage, definitely check it out.
Yeah.
So
I definitely
help him pay back his IRS debts so that he can have his IRS debts paid.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's paid them off by now.
I don't know.